Call this meeting of the Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is February 2nd, 2015. Let's start with the invocation by Thomas McClure, Outreach Minister for Community of Christ Church.
Our Heavenly Father, we have come tonight to meet as a body to conduct the business of this city. It is our prayer that everything that is done this evening might be done in the spirit of goodwill, in the spirit of cooperation, and that in all things that might be in their minds what is best for this city and for the citizens. Father, as we meet, may all deliberations be with a kind heart and a loving attitude. Be with these folks this evening as they share in this business. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Caligiuri.
Here.
Jimenez.
Here.
Moore.
Yes.
Van Zetten.
Yes.
Versteeg.
Here.
Walling.
Yes.
Yates.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next item, this is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included on the current agenda. The community is asked to keep statements brief. Time will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions that are to be asked of the city staff, the council members, or the mayor, we ask that they be expressed prior to talking to the full council, so that way we can properly research and perhaps answer the question away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and city council only. Is there anyone who would care to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Next item is the consent agenda. These are things that are basically routine in nature, minutes and reports from council meetings, the claims, payments that have been made, also the reading for the ordinance that has been passed unanimously before, the city code having to do with zoning and non-conforming developments, also a request from Roland Oldies Car Club for closure of streets, and the authorization of a federal aid agreement regarding the Iowa DOT and Transportation Alternatives Program project. Do you have a motion for approval?
Move. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Versteeg.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Caligiuri.
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Van Zetten.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Takes us to item 6. This is the announcement of vacancies that we have on various boards and commissions. First is the Airport Commission. This is one vacancy to fill upon appointment for an unexpired term ending on December 31st of 2015. It's a 5-member board, typically meeting on the first Monday of the month. 4 males currently serving with that vacancy. Building Code Board of Appeals, we have 1 vacancy to fill. It's upon appointment and serves at the pleasure of the mayor. This is a 5-member board that meets as needed. Currently we have 3 males and 1 female serving, 1 vacancy. The Historic Preservation Commission, we have 1 vacancy to fill. It's on appointment for an unexpired term ending on December 31st of 2015. It's a 7-member board, meets as needed. Currently we have 2 males and 4 females serving with 1 vacancy. Municipal Housing Agency, 2 vacancies for 2-year terms beginning on March 1st, 2015 and ending on February 28th of 2017. This is a 5-member board that typically meets once a quarter, 2 males and 3 females currently serving. Planning and Zoning Commission, we have 2 vacancies for a 5-year term that begins on May 1st, 2015, ending on April 30th of 2020. This is a 7-member board and typically meets as needed on the second Monday of the month. 4 males and 3 females currently serving. And the Water Board, we have 1 vacancy to fill upon appointment for an unexpired term that ends on June 30th of 2020. There are 3 members on the board that typically meet on the 3rd Monday of the month, and so 3 males are currently serving. Moving on to the regular agenda. Item 7A is to consider a resolution levying a special assessment against private property for sidewalk replacement that was done by the City of Oskaloosa in accordance with Section 12.12 of the City Code. It's the time for the public hearing on levying a special assessment as outlined in Exhibit A. one property. Certified notices were sent to each property owner, and a notice was published in the Oskaloosa Herald. If approved, the property owner has 30 days to pay for the sidewalk replacement in the city clerk's office, and after 30 days, it's assessed on their property taxes. Payment schedule shows 9% interest. So I'll open the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone who would care to speak to this? Okay. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have a support for the resolution levying the special assessment?
So moved.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Walling.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Calgery.
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Van Zetten.
Yes.
Versteeg.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item B, considering an ordinance amending Oskaloosa City Code Title 12 having to do with streets, sidewalks, and public places by adding Chapter 12.46, Farmers and Public Markets. This is the second reading. The City of Oskaloosa is considering adding Chapter 12.46 regarding farmers and public markets to the Title 12 streets, sidewalks, and public places to promote and protect sites for farmers markets in Oskaloosa. The city has worked informally with the Oskaloosa Farmers Market in the past and now would like to formalize that process through an addition to the code. The code change will create a formal permit process that allows markets on city property. The City of Oskaloosa recognizes that farmers markets provide fresh produce to community residents, they support local farmers, serves as a community gathering place, builds social connections, and promotes the use of the downtown. And the code also will change the current market to continue to grow and become an integral part of the community. Adopting the ordinance formalizes the process of farmers and public markets and will assist the community in its effort to become a certified Blue Zones community. At the January 12, 2015 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the commission approved the ordinance by a vote of 5-0. Do we have a motion supporting the second reading?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Yates.
Yes.
Calgery.
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Van Zetten.
Yes.
Versteeg.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. 7C, considering an ordinance amending Oskaloosa City Code Chapter 12.48, the miscellaneous regulations, to now include community gardens, and this is the second reading of this ordinance. The city staff would like to add community gardens to the Oskaloosa Municipal Code 12.48 miscellaneous regulations. The new code defines community gardens and allows residents to use public property and public vacant lots for community gardens through a permit process. Adding community gardens to the Oskaloosa Municipal Code ensures that the community gardens are allowed within the city of Oskaloosa and that vacant public lots can be used for such purposes when certain criteria is met. Adopting an ordinance allowing community gardens will assist the community in its efforts to become a certified Blue Zone community, and a local group of residents worked with the Oskaloosa Blue Zones Project and the Mahaska County Extension Office on creating a main point of contact for all the community gardens in Oskaloosa. The Extension Office has agreed to promote each garden and direct interested residents to a garden that fits their needs. Each community garden is handled by a coordinator that will work closely with the Extension Office. Creating space for community gardens will help if expansion is needed for future gardens. Do we have a motion supporting the second reading?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Calgery.
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Van Zetten.
Yes.
Versteeg.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item 7D is to consider a resolution adopting the proposed 2014 to 2015 budget amendment and the proposed 2015-2016 budget and setting the date for public hearing. This resolution sets the public hearing for March 2nd of 2015, authorizes the publication of the notice. The notice will include a tax rate to be levied in the approximate amount of $13.84.482 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. The rate of 13.84482 represents a decrease of $0.01334 in the city rate for next year, so a little over a penny. Staff recommends approval of this item. Do we have a motion supporting this?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Van Zetten.
Yes.
Versteeg. Walling.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Calgery.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item 7E, This is considering a resolution approving applications for residential tax abatement, and this is for a value that was added in the urban revitalization area. This resolution approves the applications for residential tax abatement. The added value is determined by the county assessor as abated for 5 years as follows, with the first year getting 80%, second year a 65% abatement, third year is 50%, fourth year 35%, and the fifth year is 20%. To qualify for tax abatement, the assessed valuation of a property must increase at least 15% after the improvements have been made. The improvements must conform to the city's zoning ordinance and all applicable codes. A building permit should be secured for most improvements that increase in value. We have the list here. Let's see. Financial impact for this item varies from year to year based on the number of approved applications, and you can see the historical information below. 16 applications were received, and then I believe we have an additional 3 tonight. And so we got 19 properties, and if my math is right, $3,468,000 of new value. Do we have a motion supporting the abatement?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just real quick, how do they, is that based off of an appraisal value after they do that? They put in the application and then they go do an appraisal value?
The assessor's office would be the one who would determine if there's an increase. I mean, it's also based on the permit too that's pulled.
Right. So the amounts that you're seeing in here is just an estimate from the homeowner, but then once it's turned into the assessor, they'll put an assessed value on it, and then it will be based
So
on
that homeowner says, I'm gonna throw in $100,000 to fix it up, and we go off of that.
That's just for the purposes of having something to present to council, but it will go off what the assessor puts on
And
it.
then, okay, and then the
Yeah.
assessor comes in
And so
and
these
looks at it.
values see below, like this 34,000, that's kind of what was abated in taxes for 2014, but those are on the assessed value. That's why we try to give a little information there.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Moore?
Yes.
Van Zetten?
Yes.
Versteg?
Yes.
Walling?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Caligari?
Yes.
Jimenez?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Takes us to item 7F. Considering an ordinance amending the Oskaloosa Municipal Code, Chapter 13.08, Section 13.08.570, which is a user charge for the purpose of providing necessary funding associated with the operation and maintenance of the city's wastewater treatment works. This is the first reading. A lot of explanation goes into this. The Sanitary Sewer Fund, or the Wastewater Department, is an essential service provided by the City of Oskaloosa. This service is run as an enterprise utility fund, and as such, the revenues generated through rates have to be spent on the utility. Historically, this utility has maintained a relatively flat expenditure history with minimal increase in operations and a steady amount of capital projects each year. This approach led to low rates for many years, but has probably put the system maintenance further behind. Staff is routinely responding to widespread failures and emergency repairs within the system, more so than previously observed in the past. The recommended fiscal year 2016 budget for this utility departs from the past practice of reactive and minimal improvements and begins an immediate and intensive investment in the infrastructure system. The recommended 5-year capital plan suggests increasing expenditures on the system from an average of $400,000 or less per year now to $1,150,000 per year. While that amount of capital investment will require rate increases for users, the system must receive this type of investment in order to remain viable. It's a 100-year-old system, for goodness sakes. The city was also put on notice by the Iowa Department of Natural Resources that bypasses of the treatment system have to be stopped. This led to the city hiring Garden & Associates to develop a response plan that systematically addresses the DNR mandate, and that will be submitted to the agency by April 1st of 2015. The process to address the DNR mandate will require further investment in infrastructure at an accelerated level, which means ratepayers can expect rates to increase. As mentioned in last year's budget transmittal, the DNR mandates are expected to lead to double or perhaps triple rate increases above the amount recommended in the budget. Those increased rates are expected to pay for treatment plant improvements that are mandated by the DNR and EPA for years into the future. Lastly, The sanitary sewer fund derives its revenues from the ratepayers by utilizing a base rate fee and a usage fee. The base rate continues to be a reliable source of revenue. However, staff suspects the usage fee is not being accurately reported throughout the community due to meters that are surpassing their expected or useful life. So this results in less revenue for the fund and further exacerbates the need to recommend rate increases until the meters are replaced and billable usage is more in line with expectations. The fiscal year 2016 recommended budget includes a financing and operating plan for the sanitary sewer system that requires an increase to the base and usage rates that impacts the average residential ratepayer by an additional $3.14 per month or $37.68 per year. The average residential customer uses 3.7 units of water per month and is charged the sewer base rate per month regardless of the usage. And so the impact of the proposed rates on the next page, you can see where it comes up to about $3.14 per month. And then there's also a table in here, which I thought was kind of brave to say, here's what the rates are for 2015, 16, all the way out to 2022. With that information in mind, do we have a motion to support the first reading?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I guess I just had a question for Michael. As we look at the numbers for 14, if you combine the two numbers there of 759 and 363, it's a little over $10 for 2014, the minimum. If I look out to 22, that's a little more than double. When we use the phrase that the mayor read, it could double or triple, I guess I'm just wanting to be clear, is built into what you're estimating here out through 22 taking into account some of those DNR mandates, or do you think those mandates will be on top of these increases in this table?
It's a good question. I would say the current financial plan does not include the largest portion of the DNR mandate, which would be the treatment plant, upgrades to that facility. Some of the financial plan includes projects that would address the inflow and infiltration problems that we've been told to stop. And so that's why you'll see the $1 million per year in expenditures just for capital projects. So I think the answer is yes, a little bit, but no, not on the big piece, which would be the plant.
So that's why we think, well, this is looking at more than doubling, where they think there can be more than this and the tripling.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
If we had a big expenditure at the plant itself, would we not bond for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and the current plan does not contemplate any bonding whatsoever. And as the mayor said, this might be a little brave or stupid to put that out here.
I didn't say
the
that.
long term. But I think we as an organization have committed to being transparent about our discussions that occurred during the budget sessions, and unfortunately not many people show up to those. So I think this is representative of the financial plan that I presented and recommended to all of you, and as we discussed, it's painful and we don't like it, but I think it's necessary. It does not include any bonding though, right? And that's, we continue to do the pay-as-you-go for the improvements, and that's why we can go out and borrow money and pay interest on it, but at this point I think my recommendation is to reserve that until you have the treatment facility upgrades, which could be millions of dollars to do, and that's when you'd utilize a low interest rate loan or debt in the future.
Specific to that point, though, with this being an enterprise fund, even if we bonded for it, the debt service for that bonding would still come out of what we pay for the rates, or is that not the case? It would. It could still be a property tax bond if you wanted to, just depending on the rates, or you could go seek out SRF loans, which we've done historically. That's what the water department used for their distribution plan upgrades. And again, that's a low 2.5 to 2.5. 1.5 right now. Yeah, depending on the year, the interest rate varies, so that's probably your lowest issuance costs and all that. So we would look at those sources. Okay.
Any other thoughts or comments?
I would also point out to the council, I did provide a handout to you tonight before the meeting started. During our budget retreat, Councilmember Van Zetten asked a good question. I didn't necessarily have a good response for him. So what I did, the question was, can we show exactly what we're getting for the rate increase? And my response was, well, it's in the capital improvement program. And while that's true, it probably wasn't the best response to address his question. So what I've done is I've prepared a document which shows a summary of the investments that the ratepayers are looking or being asked to make through the increased rates over the years. And we're looking at 13 new projects. And I guess what I should do, the assumptions here, when I put this document together, I looked at last year's 5-year plan, and then I took a look at it this year. And so I tried to look at it almost an apples to apples, just to show you how widely that changed. And as I discussed during the last budget, when we put the sanitary sewer fund budget together, we weren't completely convinced that we had the full picture of the problems that we were facing in the system. And therefore, I didn't recommend an increase in the rates. So we had a 0% rate increase last year. Because I could not point to anything specific. Because we were working on developing a plan that would, in fact, show sizable capital improvements. So didn't want to point to the ratepayers and say, pay for something if I can't tell you what it is, okay, in short. So over that year since the last budget retreat, we did the work to develop the plan that would start to address infrastructure investment. And again, that's what's presented to you in public. And we can review that again online or during the next budget presentation as we go through this. But in summary, I think I wanted to point out to all of you that we're looking at 13 new projects to be designed with this plan. We're looking at over 15,600 feet of new sanitary sewer pipe that would be laid. We're looking at 950 feet, starting at 950 feet of sanitary sewer lining, and then we also we establish an annual lining program. 62 manholes would be replaced, and also start an annual replacement program, which doesn't exist today. We're dealing with one major project that's considered emergency work, which in the budget is about $230,000, and that's within the collection system. But then we also establish an annual emergency fund for those types of problems going forward. In equipment, this plan, as compared to last year, allocates $765,000 of additional money to critical equipment that's necessary to keep the system operational and maintain it. So the total investment from plan to plan over the same 6-year period, the new plan shows about $6.5 million of total capital investment compared to just $2 million of capital investment over the same 6-year period. This is just capital investment. This doesn't include the operations of the system itself. So there's additional funding that we use from the ratepayers to keep the day-to-day, the treatment works itself. This is just projects. So I thought it was important to show this to all of you. This is also what I'll be sharing with the businesses. You had asked me to go out and reach out to the industries and discuss the rate increase with them. I am expected to do that starting Thursday. I have a meeting scheduled to do that. So just wanted to report progress on that and also show this. And hopefully this is helpful to you and the public as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. Roll call, please.
Van Zetten?
Yes.
Versteeg?
Yes.
Walling?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Jimenez?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Takes us out of the regular agenda, so we'll start winding things up here. Reports from city staff, city manager.
Mayor and Council, I just have one report, and that is an update on the safety committee. On the second page, the backside of this report, you'll see what's expected to be a quarterly update to you from our safety committee. Much like the financial report that Amy provides to you, we provide that on a regular basis. We're going to do that. We're going to include this type of report on a quarterly basis in your council packets. It'll be on the consent agenda going forward, but we just wanted to pull it out for you tonight so you could see it. If you had any questions, I'll let Dylan answer those as the chair of the safety committee. But just wanted to point out to you, this is one of the things that our our workers' compensation, our insurance people wanted us to do, so that you as the council and the policymakers were aware of what's happening within the organization when it comes to safety.
Did you say Dylan's the chair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there members from all the different?
All the different departments, the one piece that we are missing is the water department.
Now, the final bullet point in here talks about any injuries have to be reported to the on-call nurse. How's that work?
It's a program where we have to call a number. And Amy probably knows it best out of anybody who's administered it. But anytime there's an accident, we have to report that, and then they authorize us to either go to
Right.
seek medical attention or.
I mean, if it's an emergency, it's an
Yeah.
emergency. You take care of the employee the best you can, but otherwise, a lot of times the on-call nurse can kind of help you through the process too. They start the reporting process of it, and it just helps to expedite everything.
Okay,
And
so is this through the workers' comp insurance carrier then?
Insurance.
Correct.
Okay.
Were the 4 accidents lost time accidents?
No.
No, that's good. And I'm glad to see, because we've talked about this several times with our insurance carrier, the mod, 1 isn't even the goal. 0.75 would be great, 0.68 is better yet, so I mean, you can get it down there. So if we work on that, because that's a discount for the premium, so.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Thank you. City clerk, anything?
No, sir, thank you.
City attorney, anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Let's go around the table. Joe?
Nope, nothing.
Aaron? Scotty?
No, thank you.
Tom?
Sir.
Doug?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Okay. Tom?
No, sir.
Jason?
Just real quickly, we talked about, inside the budget session, the rental inspection program. We've talked about doing stuff in the corridor. We've got a bunch of ideas on the table. I just want to make sure that we continue to move forward on some of those ideas and kind of explore those a little bit more. I didn't want to just let them sit out there. I don't know if that is a work session for us, but I'd like to maybe get some of those actions and take a look at some of that stuff. Either put them on the board and get them on the radar, or just nix them completely, one of the two.
Okay. Mike, can we do anything along that line as far as sending out an email and getting responses from the individual council members as far as like if we want to do a work session on rental inspection, is there enough appetite to go down that road?
I guess what I would envision is that we would have one more study session as a group and just take the time to frame up maybe in a little more detail the priorities that all of you laid out in the previous study session, which was improve the corridors, address housing. Those were the two that I'm really left with more questions on. The other ones were, public safety, financial accounting, all that stuff that we usually do, addressing infrastructure, which we're doing. So I think those are the two really big priorities that are hanging out there that could go any number of ways. We could go more passive, we could go more aggressive, we could spend money on low cost or no cost items. So that's where I think it would be good to spend at least just an hour talking about those, and then from there I could see us diving into maybe some of the formal committees that we used to have, which we'd like to reinstitute.
Yes. Okay. Anything else, Jason?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, that brings it down to me. I don't have anything terribly pressing, but I did want to remind our viewers that we do have Eggs and Issues coming up on this coming Saturday. It's at 8:30 at Smoky Row. And so an opportunity to meet with the state legislators, free coffee, great conversation. So we hope to see you all there. With that, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
We got a half hour.